Hey guys, this is Candle, and it's time for a new gaming pickups video, new collection update. I've got a good stack of games here. I just got back from the store not too long ago, so a number of these I don't have in-depth thoughts on because I haven't really played them, but most of them I actually have played in the past. So we're going to go ahead and start things off here with Alan Wake on the Xbox 360. This is the standard edition, and I love this game. I absolutely love this game. Really enjoyed the sequel too, but I already had a copy of the Xbox 360 version. The reason why I picked this up though is because this is the standard edition, and can't really see it too well behind me, but I'm running out of space for my 360 games, and the collector's edition doesn't really fit too well on that shelf anymore. By comparison, here's the collector's edition right here. So you see how much thicker that is, compared to that. So that's why. And the game case that's included in the collector's edition doesn't have the right kind of spine. So this is what the collector's edition game case actually looks like. And see, it doesn't match, and I don't like that it doesn't match. You guys know I'm all about matching spines and stuff like that. Moving on, I did pick up a couple more 360 games, including Burnout Revenge. This is the quote-unquote next-gen version of it. I've had the original Xbox version for the longest time, played through it, really enjoyed it, but I've always wanted the next-gen version so I could play it again in HD. But it's a little bit harder to get a hold of. It's a little bit more expensive. It's not. I'm not saying like it's crazy expensive or anything like that. It was only like $30, and you probably find it a little bit cheaper online, but not by too much. I don't think this one is usually kind of tough to find. So definitely glad to have that. Looking forward to playing through it again, giving it another shot and stuff like that. Moving on, I also picked up Rise of the Tomb Raider for the 360. This is the last remaining Tomb Raider game on the 360 that I was missing because I had the entire Legends collection, plus I had the 2013 reboot. This came out day and date with the Xbox One version, which I picked up when that released. But last gen versions of cross gen titles are usually harder to find after the fact. And it's not, again, this is another one that's not expensive. This was only like 10, $15 at most, I think. But it's harder to find because most people are usually buying the next gen version because it runs better, looks better, that kind of stuff. And case in point, this game, from what I remember, it runs well enough, but it looks terrible compared to the Xbox One version. So I'm interested in going back through and taking a look at it just to see what it's like. I don't know if it's actually got all the DLC or anything on the 360. But that's not the only Tomb Raider game I got, because I also picked up the entirety of the Survivor trilogy on PS4. And again, I already had all these on Xbox One, but I picked them up on PS4 because I like Tomb Raider. I'm a huge Tomb Raider fan, and so I'm trying to get all the games I have. I think for the last few generations, I have them all now. So it's only the original Xbox, PS2, Wii. I think those are the ones I'm missing, plus Dreamcast, and I've got all the PS1. Although I think like half of them are green labels. I still need to get the Saturn version of one, and then all the PC versions as well. But still, I'm definitely glad to have these. Really enjoyed them. Looking forward to going back through them and playing all the DLC and getting all the trophies. I'm thinking I might actually try to do platinum runs, because if I remember correctly, they aren't that difficult to 100%. Or at least I know the first one's not. I don't think the second one's that difficult either. The third one I'm not sure, because I never did that on the Xbox One or PC. However, Tomb Raider Definitive Edition, this includes all the DLC. Granted, there was a multiplayer stuff here, so most of the DLC was multiplayer, but still glad to have that. Rise of the Tomb Raider, this is the 20-year celebration version. This is actually the second printing. The first printing was in the kind of a paper thing, because I think it included like a second disc with bonus features and stuff like that. However, this does include all of the DLC, and I think it's on disc, but I'm not sure. So I might have to buy the DLC separate for this. I don't know. We'll see. And of course, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. This is just the standard version of this, so I'd have to buy the DLC separate for this. But still glad to have that in my collection. Glad to add in stuff like that. But continuing the adventuring game genre further, I also picked up Pitfall, the Mayan Adventure on the Genesis. This is a game I've never actually played before, so I don't have too much thoughts of it. I know of it, and and I'm definitely interested in trying it out. There was also a Super Nintendo version, I think, too. So this is, I think, a sequel or a reboot of an older series. Oh yeah, the original Pitfall on the Atari. This is like a reboot of an Atari 2600 game. So because this actually includes, hidden in the game is the original version of Pitfall right there. It is where it says it, and yeah, you can tell just based on the graphics that's an Atari game. So definitely glad to have that into my collection. Definitely looking forward to trying it out and stuff like that. One game I have played before, though I've never actually beaten it myself, is Streets of Rage 2. Now this is a not for resale version, so this almost certainly was included at some point in a probably a system bundle. I don't think Sega really sold game bundles that weren't like on one single cartridge or collector's editions or anything like that back in the late 80s, early 90s. So this was probably one of the system bundles they had. It was probably packaged in that. Still, great game, excellent soundtrack. Definitely looking forward to playing this again. Yeah, it even says not for resale on the cartridge itself. So technically, I guess I broke the law. I don't know if that's actually illegal or not to resell something that says not for resale. The whole point of this was so that people wouldn't scalp the systems, break them apart, and sell the games separate. But it's secondhand market, so who cares? For a game that hasn't been in print for like 30 years, 35 years, something like that. So yeah, this actually came out in '92. So yeah, this has been out of print for over 30 years. I did pick up another Sega Genesis game. This is from actually Electronic Arts, and it is Jungle Strike, the secret sequel to Desert Strike, which I actually thought I already had, but it's not on my shelf here. So I'm gonna have to pick up Desert Strike at some point. I do know Desert Strike is included in the the Sega Genesis Mini or Mini 2, which is probably why I thought I had it, because I played it before. And so this is again. It's kind of the same basic thing as Desert Strike, where it's a top-down isometric view where you're controlling like a helicopter or plane, whatever, running around, shooting stuff, and carrying on missions and stuff like that. So yeah, you can see some of the screenshots on the back here. So definitely glad to add this to my collection. I'm going to have to go back and pick up Desert Strike now, because I know the place I got this from actually had a couple copies of that. So definitely going to have to get that. But that is it for Genesis. However, moving on, I still have a couple more retro titles to talk about, including the original Castlevania. Yes, again, this is another one. It's included in the NES Mini, I think. So definitely glad to add this to my collection, especially since I'm a huge vampire fan. I love vampires, and the main baddie here is Dracula. So I'm not a huge Castlevania fan, at least not for the classic Castlevania. I'm okay with Metroidvanias, but this was, of course, way before that. This was, just stage clearing and stuff like that. And I did enjoy the Lords of Shadow games, although I still need to go back and finish Lords of Shadow too. But still, definitely glad to have this. Looking forward to playing it again and stuff like that. Especially since I already have Castlevania 2, so I think on the NES I'm just missing Castlevania 3, because I don't think Castlevania 4 came out on the NES, because if I remember correctly, that was Super Castlevania 4, which was just a remake of the original Castlevania on the Super Nintendo. So definitely glad to have this in my collection. But carrying through with the vampires, I also picked up Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, which again, I've never played before. This is the Dreamcast version. Definitely looking forward to trying this out. I think this is supposed to be like the best version of this outside of maybe playing it on PC. Is this available on PC? I'm not sure. All I know is it says exclusive Sega Dreamcast character models and special effects, and I'm pretty sure it was originally on the PlayStation as well. Maybe the Saturn, I don't know. But still, definitely glad to add this to my collection. I haven't bought a Dreamcast game in a long time, so definitely glad to help fill that out too. This was actually from Crystal Dynamics, which means I got, 5 Crystal Dynamics games? This plus the 4 Tomb Raider games. So you have 5 Crystal Dynamics games in one grab here. So definitely glad to have this. Definitely looking forward to playing it. I've never played any of the Legacy of Kain games. I know the Blood Omen series is supposed to be pretty good too. Blood Omen 1 and 2, I think. So definitely looking forward to trying this out as well. And then the last retro game I have is, there is a Final Fantasy spin-off series. Spin-off series that's a bit near and dear to my heart. There's a new one coming out. However, I was missing one of the past games on the PS2. I'm actually missing several other games throughout the franchise, but that game, of course, is Dawn of Mana. Yes. For those of you who don't know, the Mana series is technically a Final Fantasy spin-off. Secret of Mana was had monsters designed by the same guy who did the designs for the Chocobos and the Moogles, which is why those also appear in the Mana series. And the very first Mana game, which is now localized in the West as Adventures of Mana, was originally, Seiken Densetsu, was originally released here in the West as Final Fantasy Gaiden, I think? Yeah, Final Fantasy Gaiden. So it's a Final Fantasy spin-off in the sense that it was branded as Final Fantasy on the initial release. However, that is the only game in the series that actually says Final Fantasy in the title, and only in the Western release too. Still, anyways, glad to have Dawn of Mana in my collection. Looking forward to playing this, trying it out, and stuff like that. Because I think this was the first fully 3D Mana game too. Because before this, you had Legend of Mana on the PS1, which was still sprite-based with pre-rendered backgrounds and stuff like that. And this is fully 3D, so definitely looking forward to trying this out as well. So that brings us to the last stack of games here, which is somewhat modern or recent releases. We're going to start off with the two older ones, which, again, these are still sealed because I haven't actually had time to play them yet. I ended up picking them up on Amazon on the cheap. And that is Chorus, which is stylized with a V instead of a U, which, fun fact, the U in the Latin alphabet was originally the same character as V. The Romans used V and U interchangeably, and that's the reason why the double V, or the W, looks actually more like double V's in the modern Latin alphabet as well. Still, definitely looking forward to trying this out. I've heard mixed things about this when it came out, which is why I passed up on it at the time. But it still seems kind of up my alley in terms of being a spacefaring adventure. You've got like a starfighter and stuff like that, and definitely looking forward to trying that out as well. Another kind of space adventure, though this one I think is more character focused and boots on the ground type thing, is Scars Above, which again is sealed because I haven't had time to play it. So it's kind of interesting how they kind of evolve the Series X branding over time. And even on to the last one, I know I talked about this last video as well, but how Scars Above has that white banner at the top. Well, nowadays it's usually a gray banner, and I did pick up Atomic Heart. This one was a game I passed up on when it initially came out because there was some controversy about the developer Munfish and them possibly taking money from the Russian government and stuff like that. But as I've later found out, I don't think it's as bad as people were initially claiming it was. Where I think, yeah, maybe the Russian government funded the game in part. A lot of governments fund games in part, and not just propaganda games as well. But still, definitely been interested in trying this game out. It's actually still on Game Pass as far as I know. I downloaded it way back when, just haven't actually started yet. So that's why this copy is also still sealed, because I haven't actually started it. Another game that's still sealed and will probably remain sealed considering I have the originals as well is Pikmin 1 and 2. I finally picked it up. So that means I have all of the Pikmin games on Switch. In fact, I have every single Pikmin game now except for the 3DS game, which is, I think, Hey Pikmin? Yeah, I think it's called Hey Pikmin or something like that. So I think that's the only Pikmin game I'm missing now. So definitely glad to have that in my collection. This is, 1 and 2 and stuff like that. Anyways, the last two items here I have are actually two copies of the same game. And this is the reason why those games were sealed. And it's because this is the game I've been playing for the entirety of the last month. I just rolled credits on it last night. And that is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the Standard Edition and the Deluxe Edition, which is still sealed this time. Believe it or not, I kept this sealed because the DLC actually did come in an email. Although I am tempted to open this up just to look at some of the feelies that were included, like the hardback art book, the mini soundtrack CD, and the steelbook case. Although, considering the thickness of this thing... Here, give me a second here. Where is it? So, Remake and Final Fantasy 16 had a deluxe edition with like all this extra goodies and stuff like that was really, really thick. This is Remake. This is the deluxe edition for Rebirth. See how much thicker that is? And the reason for that, I think, is the fact that they once again, I don't even have to open this to tell you, they once again packaged a standard version of the game in here alongside the Steelbook instead of putting the game in the Steelbook. Like, I understand, it's probably cheaper and easier for them to do it this way, but I'm like, why would you even include a Steelbook if you're not going to put the game in the Steelbook? It's just an empty Steelbook. What's the point of an empty Steelbook? Seriously, what the hell? But that said, I really, really enjoyed this game. I just, like I said, I just rolled credits on it last night. 105 hours. 105 hours. I was doing everything I could. The only things I haven't done is the optional challenges and hard mode stuff that were tied to hard mode or getting up to max level, the stuff that's geared towards post game content. That's all I haven't done. And I was originally considering, even a couple days ago, I was strongly considering continuing on and getting the platinum for this right off the bat because I was having so much fun. But after the way this game ends, I need to sit with it for a while. And so yeah. Really, really enjoyed it. I'm not saying I hated the ending or anything like that. It's something that makes you think. And I don't want to say too much because I know there's people like me who are still playing through this game. It is a massive game. And so, yeah. What I'll probably end up doing is something like I did with Remake, where I went through and got the platinum before Rebirth came out. So before Part 3 comes out, I'll probably play through Remake again, and then play through Rebirth again and get the platinum for that. So that way I can be fully up to date on the story and everything like that. So anyways, that is it for now. That is it for this collection update. Let me show you the whole stack here. Ugh. Flip that around. Alright. So that's all the games from this collection update. One massive stack. So I am still on track. I'm actually ahead of schedule a little bit on reaching 1,250 games by the end of the year. And as a matter of fact, I'm currently at 1161. So that's it for now. I'll see you guys next time, hopefully with another one here in April. Until then, thanks for watching. See you guys next time. See ya.